Welcome into our broadcast here at Monin Park. We apologize for the technical difficulties, and UMass Boston leads it by a score of 9-0 here against Endicott. 3-2 count upcoming here from Ben Gottesman, the starter for UMass Boston here this evening. That one missing outside. So that makes the count now 3-2 with Nicholas Perkins at the plate. First man to bat here in this third inning. 3-2. Misses upstairs, and that will be a walk for Perkins. So Perkins now aboard. And that will bring Jordan Carvalho to the plate, the catcher, who has struck out looking in this game. Just a recap for you. 5 runs for UMass Boston in the first, 3 in the second for the Beacons, and then also picked up 1 in the third. So 9 runs already across for the Beacons, and the lone run in that third inning was a solo shot by Herzog. That was an absolute moonshot out to left field. Here's the first offering. That one misses to Carvalho, and the count is 1-0. But Seth, we have seen an offensive outburst so far from the Beacons. 6 hits to start the game.
Well, it all started in that first inning against the starter Kyle Woolman, where he just couldn't get an out, and the Beacons, we talked about it in our pregame that no one heard, but this Beacons offense is red hot, coming in with, I think it was 101 runs over their last 7 games, all wins. Well, added on 5 more to start. They've scored in each of the first 3 innings, and this is what we're seeing from a Beacons team where they're hitting well 1 through 9, but especially 1 through 3 or even 4. Basically, those guys are all hitting somewhere between 400 and 600 the last 7 games when the Beacons have been unstoppable at the plate.
Swing and a miss by Carvalho, and another guy we highlighted at the top who's already had a huge game thus far is Nick Herzog. Put a towering shot over the left field wall, but he got things started for UMass Boston early in that first inning.
Yeah, was able to read. She's such a pesky base runner. I mean, that's all in backing of the guy at the mound who we had our Beacon Spotlight today with. You can check it out on YouTube since we didn't play it during the game. But Gottesman has just been so good for the Beacons, a guy who was not supposed to be a starting pitcher until the Beacons lost 3 different guys, 2 to injury, 1 to ineffectiveness. He stepped in and has just been mowing people down. This is his 4th start of the season, and he's been a high strikeout, low hits, lower in runs guy, which can't ask for much more, especially out of a guy who's supposed to be your 5th or 6th starter.
And now he has 4 strikeouts in his 4th appearance as a starter for the Beacons. That one is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. And, of course, Gottesman has left a runner stranded in each frame so far in this game as Kyle Brennan, the left-handed hitter, steps in. Just 3 hits for Endicott. And, again, as Seth mentioned, the story all started back in the first inning. Swing and a miss on a pitch down in the dirt by Gottesman. His stuff has been there tonight. 6 straight hits for UMass Boston to open this game. And a couple of seeing eye singles, and then a couple of balls that were hit very well into the outfield.
And we're only in the top of the 4th, and already 7 of the 9 Beacons have hits, which just shows to go the balance of this Beacons lineup. But also, we talked about it a little bit before the game. You have to take into account the Beacons playing the last week of the regular season. This is a big game for them, regionally ranked opponents. Endicott, they play conference tournament play on Thursday. Their focus is probably a little bit more on Thursday than it is on this game, especially throwing out already 3 different pitchers here in the first 3 innings.
Brennan fouls it off and mentioned that regional ranking, especially so big in this area with so many talented teams. And you look back, and it's crazy to think that somehow, and a lot of the times it is the case early, some of those regional rankings go all the way back to what you did in Florida against nationally ranked teams. And both these teams had some miscues, but some big wins as well. That one is grounded foul. Endicott beat Trinity while they were down in Florida. And
in
then
Texas. They went to Trinity, Texas. So those games are even more important because you get the road bonus of playing a team that should be towards the top of the Southwest region, and at that point was ranked towards the top of the entire nation.
Number 4 in the country at the time. And then, of course, had a couple of other solid wins when they had their Florida trip. Of course, a kind of a surprise. That one is fouled back. Not as much a surprise to a lot of people in the region, but TCNJ has been very impressive this year, and a couple of big wins, one against Rowan, and they got a win against TCNJ, which ends up turning out to be a big boost in that regional ranking. But UMass Boston had their fair share of very impressive wins while they went to Florida and a couple of these regionally ranked teams as well.
Well, the Beacons always play a tough schedule. Coming into this weekend, Beacons were ranked #1 in the country in terms of strength of schedule, and that's always going to help you when it comes to the regional rankings, because a big thing is your strength of schedule and then your record versus ranked opponents, which is why today's game is especially big for the Beacons. Chance to tack on another regionally ranked win before they have to think about LEC tournament play next week.
Which, of course, the LEC tournament will have one of the most talented teams not only in this region but in the country in Southern Maine. What they have done so far this year, and kind of dating back to last year as well, a team that went to the Auburn Regional and fell in that championship game. Offering on the way, and that one misses outside for a ball. Kind of one of the surprises of that regional, after Cortland State came in as really the top dog in that regional going into the Auburn bracket, and that's what's so great about Division III baseball. So that one is a swing and a miss there from Duffy. All those regionals, all the rankings, once you get in, it all goes out the window.
Yeah, I do have a little gripe with Cortland State being the top team last year, because it looked on paper as if SUNY Oswego was a better team on paper, but because SUNY Cortland was the host school for the regional, they got to stay home, and as a Beacons employee / supporter, made it a little bit harder for the Beacons to get through the New England Regional when they had to face SUNY Oswego, a team that had been in the College World Series the year before. Of course, Cortland went out early. In the end, it was, I believe, Swarthmore who ended up beating Southern Maine in the regional final up in New York.
And that pitch is in there for a call. Third strike. Down goes Duffy, and off the mound goes Gottesman, who has been superb thus far. UMass Boston in front 9-0 on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Welcome back here to our broadcast at Monin Park. Endicott trailing 9-0 against UMass Boston, and Joseph Brown, the junior, is now the new pitcher for Endicott. And Seth, you mentioned Endicott maybe trying to save some arms for the conference tournament. They decided not to do that with Zachary Soltar, one of their relievers coming in, one of the top guys in this in the reliever role so far this year. Had 7 appearances only, but has been very impressive in that stretch. UMass Boston able to get to him. Now they bring in Joseph Brown, who's appeared 13 times out of the bullpen.
Well, at this point, I think it was probably going to be a staff day to start out with. But certainly the way today has ended up, right now it's about getting guys a little bit sharper, getting guys a little bit of work without tiring them out for the tournament, which starts on Thursday. Endicott getting swept the other day. It's at home on Senior Day to Western New England, so they dropped, believe, to the 3rd seed. I want to make sure I get that right. But if Endicott dropped to the 3rd seed, which they did, that means they're going to be playing on Thursday just to get a chance to play on Friday against some of the higher seeds. So you really don't want to tire out one pitcher who might be vital to you going forward, as they're going to have to play Thursday, then likely Friday, and then you hope that you can get into some of those later games in the CCC tournament on Saturday and Sunday.
A swing and a miss there by Cotraro, and here's another guy who has been hot at the plate so far, but had a fielder's choice here in this game. It's been a couple of different bats that have had successful days so far for UMass Boston. Pitch misses downstairs, and it moves to 3-1. But saw some of those highlights from earlier. The Beacons offense has been electric so far. The 3-1.
Well, and it's just been the story of UMass Boston here in the second half of April. Winners of 12 of 14, winners of 7 in a row. It's been the offense heating up. And honestly, as much as we talk about about Nick Herzog as the Superman in the middle of the Beacons lineup, and he has been, extra base hits now in 13 in a row, it's been the addition of Josh Lopez that has really sparked the Beacons, extending that lineup and really erasing the one big hole in the lineup, plus the addition of Nick Cotraro, who has absolutely been raking here when given his first chance to start.
Swing, and that one is fouled back by Eddie Riley. And you think maybe getting 3 games postponed could slow down that Beacons offense. It didn't. They got 20 runs against Nichols and then had 18 total runs in their weekend series against Rhode Island College. This offense just has lit it up these last couple of weeks.
They didn't just get 20 runs against Nichols. They got 9 runs in the top of the first inning. I mean, it was a surprise to me. I thought, the offense might slow down after a couple postponements. Nothing like that.
Here's Eddie Riley lacing one out into center field, and that's going to be caught, trying to get back in just the nick of time, but sliding off the bag, and he's going to be tagged out, is Cotraro. A double play and an unfortunate one there. There, the turf monster. That is something that a lot of guys, when play at this turf, it is a problem mostly for the road team, but here for UMass Boston now in this situation.
That's a great throw from Dan Casciola, right on the money, and that forced the slide from Nick Cotraro. A poor mistake by the Beacons, although you're not as worried about it up 9-0. But again, it's a lot more difficult to slide on turf than it is grass, because you're always going to slide a little bit further, especially when it's wet. And that time Cotraro couldn't hold on to the bag. Just a little bit unfortunate. He probably stops there and has his momentum slow down, but unable to do so in that particular situation on turf.
Well, it's been a very long time since we haven't seen rain in a day. That one is a breaking ball in there for a strike. It's 0-2.
Don't jinx us. We're supposed to see rain tonight.
That's true.
Just after midnight.
Well, it could be snow, so it could be worse. It's 0-2 the count. That one is swung on and grounded by Brown. Out towards second, fielded cleanly by Allaire, and he throws on to first in time, and that will end the inning. So the first time that Endicott has faced the minimum here in this game, it's 9-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Another breaking ball, and that one is lifted over on the right side of the infield, and it'll be caught by Lopez. And here's the 1-0. Boudreaux swings, lifts this one into shallow center. It's in no man's land and falls for a hit. Herzog takes a big turn around third, but he will stay put here. 0-1 is grounded to the pitcher, Tarlin. He fires home for one. Throw back to first, and it is right off of the back of Cotraro. The run will come in to score, but now the question becomes, is Cotraro okay? He will reach on the field at least, .98 ERA. That one is grounded through on the right side for a base hit. Kides has 1 run in, and the second run is going to score as well. UMass Boston has stretched their advantage. It's 8-2 2-1 offering. Swing, and that one is lined out in the left field, and it falls for a base hit. Third hit of the contest for the Gulls. Ben Gottesman on the mound, who has been very solid so far, and that one is going to line down the right field line, but just foul. The count on Herzog. The 2-0. Swing, and he skies this one out to left. Back it goes, and that one is long gone. Nick Herzog puts it over the wall, and the LEC Player of the Week does it again. Well, there you saw the blast by Nick Herzog absolutely tattooed the baseball back in the third inning. Endicott will start it off here in the top half of the fifth frame, but that has been the kind of really weak the last couple of weeks that Nick Herzog has had.
I mean, Nick Herzog has won 2 of the last 3 LEC Player of the Week awards, and if not for Nick Cacharo 2 weeks ago when he had a slightly better week, it could be 3 weeks in a row. Herzog has been so hot, and the most impressive thing is looking at his slugging percentage. 752 coming into the day, second best in a single season in program history, still with a couple games left, but this is a guy who's never slugged higher than 440 in his career, and he's been doing it not just with the home runs, which he's been hitting a lot of now, 8 on the season, but also he's been legging out doubles, legging out triples, finally showing off the complete game that he's certainly capable of.
Well, I mentioned earlier that here's the difference between the two offenses. Herzog now has 8 home runs on the season. Endicott as a team has 5 total home runs on the year. So just kind of show the disparity in offense between these two sides. That one misses downstairs. And that's not to say that Endicott hasn't had their fair share of offensive games, but this has been a team that they've built around pitching. And again, when you move into these conference tournaments and, of course, to the NCAA regional tournaments, that one is fouled off. The more pitching you have, the better. It can never be a bad thing. That's why what UMass Boston is getting out of Ben Gottesman, they have to love right now.
Yeah, and I think that's also a positive if you're Endicott. Yes, your hitting is not necessarily where the Beacons are. You're only hitting 273 in the season. But in our pregame, we talked about it. Endicott is one of the best pitching staffs in the nation. Top 20 in ERA, top 20, number 1 in the country in shutouts with 8, but also top 20 in WHIP and hits allowed per 9. I mean, they've got Saltar, who we saw earlier with the 0.98 ERA, but also Kevin Gould going into this weekend before he got reffed up by Western New England was in the top 20 in the country in ERA. So they've got a bona fide ace. They've got some really good relievers. They just need to pitch well, field well, and get enough from their offense. Whereas the Beacons, they've got good pitching, they've got good defense, but at this point their offense is carrying them. That's a really good thing if you trust your pitching and defense.
Ball 1 to Skeena. Prosser and Allaire have been the first 2 outs here in this top half of the 5th inning. That one is in there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Mentioned that 8-run inning for UMass Boston. How about a 5-run inning and 8 runs in the first 2 frames for the Beacons here tonight? As Gottesman fires the 1-1. Swing, and that one is fouled off, and it's 1-2. And surprising how well UMass Boston is hitting offensively, because umpiring tonight has been very wide strike zone, so you think that would benefit the pitching, but the Beacons have, in fact, capitalized in a couple of different situations. Gottesman fires downstairs. It's 1-2.
Well, Gottesman has capitalized, 6 strikeouts to no walks, but on the opposite side, the Endicott 4 pitchers have combined for 4 walks and just the 2 strikeouts. So they're giving you something, but if you're being a little bit too wild, they're kind of cutting down on the zone a little bit as well.
Gottesman breaking ball. They say he went around, and now he'll give a sprint, does Skeena, but he's not going to get there in time. It's a strikeout for Gottesman, and UMass Boston will head to the bottom of the 5th. A 1-2-3 inning for Ben Gottesman. Lights out so far on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, and I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Welcome back here at Monin Park, and we have a new pitcher on the mound for Endicott, and it's Alexander Mandris. You see the record and ERA there for Mandris so far on the year, and Seth, this is a guy that's appeared, the only pitcher on this Endicott staff that's appeared over 20 times on the year. He's appeared 21 times for Endicott on the season, so trying to get some guys some innings and maybe throwing those in-game bullpens, but for Endicott, it'll be Alexander Mandris that will toe the rubber.
Well, looking for a better outing than his last time out. Did not get an out in Game 1 against Western New England. 3 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, a walk, and a home run allowed. And also from Acton, Massachusetts, very likely to be one of Ben Gottesman's several friends on this Endicott team. He has been struggling as of late, allowed 3 unearned runs against Gordon last Thursday, and then 2 earned runs against Roger Williams, a guy who's been used a lot, but has been scuffling as of late, and you see that when in his 4.88 ERA. Last year, 2.5 ERA and 49 in the third innings, 23 appearances, just the 1 start, so a big-time reliever for this team.
That one is lined down the right field line by Kites, but just foul. Kind of a funky delivery as well from Mandris. Count is 1-1 here on Kites.
Nico had a big 2-run, 2-out single through the right side. It's part of, I believe that was the 3-run second.
Yep.
Just a guy who has been very clutch for the Beacons. Not a big-time hitter in terms of average or RBI, but when you can get that nice production out of your freshman catcher who's in there for his defense, hitting 7th, the longer you can extend a lineup 1 through 9, the more likely you are to get consistent run production, even if one of your top guys struggles.
That's a breaking ball that misses. Of course, when they came back from Florida, he was on a tear and came back to New England. 2-2 the count. As Kites awaits offering. That one misses off the plate. Mandris has watched the last couple of innings and said, why not?
Yeah, not by much. Looked very good. Nico looked at it, almost pulled the trigger.
Full count, payoff pitch coming. Fouled off.
Yeah, and Mandris, the big thing is timing. It's not only slightly difficult to read with his delivery, but he's also not throwing very hard. So it's really holding back, and then when he does throw a fastball, can you catch up to it? Get your hands out there fast enough, because there's a huge difference between the breaking ball and the fastball.
Payoff pitch. Breaking ball downstairs, and Kites is aboard of the walk. There has yet to be an inning that UMass Boston has not gotten a runner aboard. In the third, of course, it was on one swing that they came all the way around with Herzog coming in to score on the solo shot. And now Ryan McCormick will step to the plate. He's got a sacrifice fly and 2 flyouts out to left field. The sac fly was the fly out to left, and then his second at-bat also flew out to the same spot. 0-1 now.
Well, the thing that's crazy to me is this is a team that came in with 273 strikeouts to 116 walks. So not quite 2-1, but certainly pretty good. And yet their strikeouts 2, their walks now are 5, and a lot of these guys haven't been close. I know they're not throwing some of their top pitchers. We're not going to see Kevin Gould. Joseph Oriola hasn't pitched since the 16th of April. He might be injured, and he's another one of their top pitchers. But right now, this is not a good sign for a team that was already scuffling a little bit, because all of these guys who might be called upon in some big situations, maybe not to start, but to throw that 6th, 7th, 8th inning in conference tournament play. And none of these guys has been quite crisp enough, especially on a night where it's not all that cold.
1-2 now the count on McCormick. That one misses just downstairs, and it's 2-2. That also speaks to the UMass Boston offense as well. Of course, the LEC has been, of course, with those top 2 teams, very competitive, and now you look at this UMass Boston offense and you may say, well, this is one of the better pitching conferences, as that one misses downstairs. Runner takes off, and he'll slide in safe to Kites after they tried to hold on if that pitch was a strike or a ball and tried to frame it, and Kites took advantage. Catcher taking advantage of another.
Yeah, I don't think you could see it because Manders had his back turned on that camera from center field, but he had some words with our home plate umpire, Richard Cabral. Was very upset with that lack of a call.
Here's the next pitch downstairs, and that will be ball 4.
And
so
now
the
he's
6th walk.
Cabral's now getting a little bit of stare down from Mandris. And if you're hoping to get that call, you're less likely to if you try to show up the umpire. We saw it a couple weeks ago with the Houston Astros where they thought they were getting pinched a little bit with the zone. But the worst thing you can do is try to show up the umpire in any way, because all of a sudden, I mean, he's the one in charge of the zone. He can shrink it as much as he wants or expand it as much as he wants. And at this point, Mandris just needs to focus on trying to get it high enough, because a couple of these pitches have been too low to be called strikes.
That one fouled off and the count's 0-1. And a couple of the swings that UMass Boston has had have not been great on Mandris, and of course that breaking ball has been good. And pitch, again, we'll see if he can figure it out on the mound with runners at first and second, back-to-back walks, nobody out in the frame. Downstairs, and it's now 1-1. And you mentioned the walks. It was after that long inning where UMass Boston started with first 6 batters coming to the plate, all recording a hit. Probably took a second for the reliever, Max Tarlin, who came into the game to find the zone because he was concerned that UMass Boston would do the same thing again. 1-1. That one in there for a strike. That was about the same pitch. That was called the ball earlier, but called a strike here.
And
1-2.
Hughie's the only guy in the Beacons lineup thus far without a hit or without an RBI. Ryan McCormick ahead of him had an RBI earlier. So, again, in there for his defense, but he's another guy who can extend this lineup, and a couple hits shy of 150 for his career.
That one is swung on and fouled off. Of course, that shortstop position over the years, and especially at the Division III level, it becomes so rare and so valuable when you get a guy that can play that shortstop position so well defensively. It just makes your infield look even that much better.
And Hughie is the ultimate infield captain. Not only a tremendous shortstop, but a guy who's constantly talking, constantly keeping his teammates informed of what's going on, making sure everyone knows what to do. And it's helped this year, especially before Josh Lopez returned, working with a couple of second basemen who were new to the team. Even Eddie Riley last year when Riley was starting for the first time at third base. It just helps to have a leader out there. And outside of Nick Herzog in right, no one's played in more games on this Beacons current roster than Charlie Hughie.
Hughie awaiting the 2-2 for Mandris. They throw back behind the runner, and did they get him? They did not.
Well, they got him leaning the wrong way, but that throw from Mandris was not nearly strong enough. If he had had a solid strike, especially if you throw it to the third base side, you give your infielder a much better chance of getting the tag down. And despite the fact it looked like he was going to be out, Cotties did get back in there safely.
Mandris fires high for a ball. It's full 3-2. That's such a tough throw as well for these pitchers. You're kind of spinning, sometimes even the wrong way. Kind of feels awkward, and see a lot of throws in that regard just head into the outfield. Such a good timing play if you can get that one down. Breaking ball that's chopped over towards the left side of the infield, fielded cleanly by Prosser, and a great stretch over at first by Brennan to get Hughie at first base. The runners will move up 90 feet, but that could have been danger time for Endicott, and a terrific stretch at first on a great charging play by Prosser.
Yeah, I'd love to see that again. It looked like Brennan's foot came off the bag in the midst of the split. Then he was able to get it down in time. That was a really difficult play all the way around. Hughie's speed, Prosser knows he has to charge hard, and then he makes a solid throw, and you see the long split.
Over it.
And that was huge, because the last thing you want is bases loaded for the hottest hitter in the Beacons lineup. Already has a solo shot today. And on the day, 2 for 2 with 2 runs, a homer, and an RBI. I mean, this guy has literally been unstoppable the last 3 or so weeks.
Let's see if Mandris can figure him out. First pitch misses high for a ball. It's 1-0, and we may see this.
We've already seen a couple of intentional walks on Herzog here at home.
And Endicott, of course, one of the wilder things that we've seen this year. First inning, infield was in. That pitch misses high and tight. It's 2-0, but when you're down 5-0 and you've given up 6 hits through the first 6 batters, maybe the only option at that point.
The Eastern Connecticut actually brought the infield in when it was 1-0 in the first inning against the Beacons earlier this year. A lot of teams a little bit worried about the Beacons' offensive prowess, at least the way they've been hitting since about April the 10th, April the 12th when Lopez came back.
You can't really figure out on a shift kind of where to put guys because Beacons have been spraying the ball all over the field. That one is fouled off by Herzog. Of course, there's higher numbers that you can get, but again, that plays into the sabermetrics part of things.
Well, the other issue is at the Division III level, there's only so many options an SID can put in the stats. You can put left field line, you can put left field, you can put left center. That doesn't quite give you, especially an expansive park like this, exactly where the ball's being hit.
That one is grounded down the third base line, but just foul by Herzog.
And a very late call by the umpires. Brendan Igerbrook back in the first, which we saw, but you couldn't see at home, was upset by a call, very similar ball down the first base line that looked foul to the Beacons' first base dugout. It was a little tougher for us to tell up here. That one was very close. The Beacons' third base coach, Fred DeFrance, incredulous that it wasn't a fair ball, and this time they do call it foul.
So 3-2 the count. And the offering. Swing, and that one is grounded towards first. A ball that they will not throw home. Brennan does get the out. So Herzog retired, but he's not going to go down without an RBI. So Herzog brings home a run, and UMass Boston leads at 10-0.
Yeah, and that's a decent at bat. Obviously, when you're going as well as he is, you want to do more, but you're able to score the run. And with that, he now has 124 RBI, sitting fifth all time. He's passed Adam Waxman on the day, and he's 2 behind his teammate Kyle Boudreaux for fourth.
It's been an impressive showing in these last few games for Nick Herzog, but here's a guy who's also had a very impressive showing in Josh Lopez, who steps to the plate. First pitch misses outside for a ball. He is 1 for 2 today with a walk as well.
1 for 2, 2 runs and RBI, and he's looking for his 150th career hit today.
That one misses high and tight. And the count moves now to 2-0. He has been impressive for the Beacons since you mentioned returning. 12 games, and an average has been wonderful for the Beacons. This is going to be a tough play. Brennan flips to the pitcher, covering, and Mandris got there just in time. That'll be the final out of the inning. UMass Boston leaves one stranded, but they are now in double digits on the board. It's 10-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to Monin Park, and there you take a look at what is going on around Beaconville. Of course, has some exciting ends to the season for some teams sneaking in to the postseason, and then, of course, men's tennis, who has been dominant this year. They will host the LEC semifinals on Friday, but take a look there, and men's lacrosse team sneaking in last moment to get into the postseason.
The men's lacrosse team comes in hot, winners of their last 2. They needed to win both to get in, including a win on Friday night against Western Connecticut State. So they'll have some confidence. Softball, they snuck in on the wrong side. They've been a little bit cold the last week or so, but they take on a Plymouth State team they should be very familiar with. They played Plymouth State in each of the last 2 LEC championship series and beat them. So the Beacons will hope that that can carry over as they take on Plymouth State noon on Thursday at UMass Dartmouth, who wins the LEC regular season earlier on this afternoon.
That one grounded foul by Matt Bald, the left fielder who comes in with the best average for this Endicott group, however, has gone 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts today, as he awaits the next offering. And the pitch is swung on, and that one is skied down the right field line towards the foul line, and not being able to make the catch there was Herzog.
This is likely the last inning for Gottesman, who has not gone further than 5 1/3 in any of his starts. Already up to 85 pitches here. Just the 3 hits allowed, the 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. The strikeouts are the most impressive thing to me for Gottesman because he had a very high strikeout per 9 as a reliever, but has been able to keep that up. At least 5 strikeouts in every start. 10 his last time out in 5 1/3 innings. And it's been so impressive from a guy who, as a reliever, you don't have that many pitches. You don't need that many pitches, but he's getting it done with a strikeout, changeup, and slider, and he's been fooling batters consistently.
Count is now 1-2 for Gottesman, and mentioned what he's done on the mound has been impressive so far, and he has just continued his success here this evening. That one misses off the plate, but count 2-2. Seems to be much more comfortable now as he's worked a couple of more starts in that role. Kind of feeling out, like you said earlier, his ability to kind of preserve that stamina to give him more than just those couple of innings of work.
Well, his first start came against Mitchell, and he went 3 innings, did not allow a hit. The Beacons no-hit Mitchell into the 6th inning, but he came out after the 3rd. Everyone was surprised. Told his teammates, I got nothing left. My arm is shot at this point. But he's been steadily building it up, and one of the benefits he has is he's one of those lucky guys with the rubber arm where just the more innings he pitches, the more confidence he has, the more stamina he has in that arm, and he's been building that up towards the point maybe you can get 7 innings out of him if you need that in an LEC tournament game.
This one ball floats out towards second, fielded by Lopez. He fires to first in time, and that will be out number 1 here in the top half of the 6th inning.
Something Brendan Eigerbout always focuses on this last week of the regular season is you want your starting pitchers especially to end on a high note. You want them to go into postseason play feeling confident. So you don't want to leave him out for one too many innings or one too many batters to the point that he ends on a sour note, gives up a home run or gives up an extra base hit. So this, I'm sure, will be his last inning, and depending on how they feel about a certain matchup, they might even pull him here in this inning, as the Beacons do have at least one guy warming out in the bullpen.
Of course, UMass Boston still a couple of conference games left as Cacciola will step in. They'll have UMass Dartmouth and then a doubleheader against Castleton right here at home. But it'll be a stretch that the Beacons definitely looking for some positive success with that one grounded foul, trailing Southern Maine by just a game. A couple of games on the slate that could really prove pivotal down the stretch.
Yeah, UMass Boston needs to win tomorrow for multiple reasons. The Beacons beat the Corsairs. They're still just a game back with 2 games left for both teams. But if they beat the Corsairs and Plymouth State wins their midweek game, Plymouth State is still mathematically alive. They play Southern Maine on Friday. So the Beacons are huge Plymouth State Panthers fans if they can get the victory tomorrow.
Ben Gottesman may have assisted on that putout as he got that ball to kind of ground into the glove of Hughie, who makes the throw on to first, and there's 2 down in the inning. But, of course, so many scenarios down the stretch, and it all seems relative now, but then for seeding purposes, it becomes huge and allows your pitching to get some rest and things like that. So for the Beacons down the stretch now, it has really been, for a lot of teams, a must-win, but for the Beacons to kind of control their own destiny, you could say, swing and a miss by Perkins.
Well, probably even more so when it comes to the LEC tournament because the top team hosts throughout. Southern Maine's never won at Monin Park. The Beacons won the 2017 LEC title at Southern Maine. So Southern Maine really doesn't want to come here, and the Beacons would love to stay home because they've been so good at this park. And there's always a benefit of sleeping in your own beds. A lot of, I think more so for male athletes than female athletes, you can not focus on all the academic stuff that's going on in the background while you're in these tournaments, because typically you can get maybe a test moved back 2 days once you get the once you finish up your tournament. But at the same point, I think it's easier when you can maybe go to class and then come out, warm up with your team and play a game, rather than having to go back to the hotel and study for a test or write a paper. Just not something that some guys are as comfortable with.
2-2, the count with 2 down here in the inning. Gottesman delivers. Breaking ball, that one is grounded out towards second. Fielded by Lopez. He fires to first in time, and that ends the inning. 1, 2, 3. 6 innings of shutout baseball for Ben Gottesman. UMass Boston coming to the plate in the 6th, up 10-0.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to Monin Park. Victor Molly will be on the mound for Endicott. 0-4 record and a 4.74 ERA this year, as he will see his first appearance of this contest and his 17th now appearance of the season.
Molly pitched in Game 2 against Western New England, 2/3 of an inning, with a walk. Has not allowed an earned run in each of his last 3 appearances. Been one of their better pitchers, although he did get roughed up against Suffolk in a 12-11 win back on April the 3rd. 2 innings, 4 hits, 6 earned runs in that win over Suffolk, who's once again the top team in the GNAC regular season.
Stepping in is Boudris. He will lead things off here for UMass Boston. It'll be Boudris, Cotraro, and Riley, and now we get a mound visit before a pitch is even thrown.
Feels like the 9th grade game that some of us were here for before the college game went on, where there was literally a mound visit every 3 pitches. Not to say anything between Victor Molly and the catcher, but it was painful.
Watching limiting the mound visits is wonderful.
Yeah, literally, if you've never seen a freshman game of high school baseball, just don't put it on your list.
I've played in one. That one misses low for a ball. It's 1-0.
Probably more enjoyable. Was there a lot of cheering? Because that was the one thing I was surprised by. A lot more cheering than you're used to seeing.
A lot more cheering, but mostly my cheering was done because I threw the ball a little bit faster than 65 miles an hour. But that's that pitch misses high for a ball, 2-0.
You must have been a stud.
No, not at all. Count is 2-0. And that was on a good day we got it to 65. 2-0 the count on Boudris. That one misses downstairs, and it's 3-0.
Molly throws with a violent motion. Every single time I'm worried that his hat's going to fall off, and he comes down so hard. But again, the accuracy is just not there today for Endicott pitchers. I mean, the amount of 2-0 and 3-0 counts has got to be well over half a dozen here, and we're only in the 6th inning.
And there's a walk. That one misses for a ball, and Boudris will be aboard. Cotraro will come to the plate. And now we will have a pinch hitter that will step in here.
It's going to be Anthony Cesare for UMass Boston. Guy who had been starting, but with Nick Cotraro hitting as well as he's been hitting, and Kyle Boudris maintaining the DH spot because of an injury. Cesare's kind of been the odd man out as of late, although the Beacons have been trying to get him some regular at-bats. It helps when you're up 10 runs, 15 runs, 18 runs. You can take out a lot of your regulars and give some of these other guys who might have to come up or might get some key starts in the conference tournament some regular at-bats rather than only 1 or 2 at-bats a week.
Or also throw, as we've seen before, them into a pinch hitter role and now kind of get them familiar with that role in the situations where you need to get a hit, you're looking for some offense, and you're able to just kind of throw them into the fire, especially late in games, as Pitch on the way to Accessory, misses for a ball. And it's 1-0.
Beacons are also going to pinch run for Boudris. It'll be Ryan McLeod over there at first base, one of their go-to pinch runners. And in the DH spot, he might even gotten it back the other day against Rhode Island College in the 10th inning after the Beacons had already taken an 8-6 lead.
1-1 the count on Accessory. Eddie Riley waits on deck. He is due up. Then Brown would be following him. Nobody out in the inning. Molly's breaking ball misses upstairs, and again with the violent motion, and then he just floated that one in there. 2-1 the count.
The issue is if there's any kind of hint of when he's floating one over the top, you can wait on that and probably crush it.
Throw back to check on the runner. Count is 2-1.
And it's tough as a pinch hitter in a game like this where you can't get any real rhythm for these Endicott pitchers because they're throwing a staff day with different guys every inning. You kind of just have to stay fresh, focus more on you than on the pitcher you're seeing, because if you focus on this, this is the inning I'm going to get in, you wait till the next inning, you're going to see a pitcher probably has a different motion, different couple of pitches. It's hard to really get set.
Accessory coming in hitting .306. Almost near that team average. Swing and a miss. He goes down on strikes. Molly gets his first out on the rubber. And that brings Eddie Riley to the plate, who is 1 for 3 here tonight. So Riley will step in and face pitcher on the mound for Endicott, Victor Molly. So Riley will await the first offering here. Pitch from Molly misses outside. And the count moves to 1-0.
Riley's the guy who was really scuffling early on in April when the Beacons as a whole were struggling. Since then, though, he's had a hit in 7 of his last 8 games, including 4 multiple hit games. And that's huge for the Beacons because last year Riley, come tournament time, was one of their best hitters and provides a lot of pop. They switched Riley and Herzog in the lineup. Riley had been their leadoff guy, but he strikes out a lot, already 33 on the year, and they've had really good results as Riley's been able to maybe see some more pitches before he comes up that first time and get into a groove, and he definitely has a chance to get on or to see pitches a little bit more with guys on in front of him where the pitcher's maybe more likely to make a mistake because they're focused on those base runners.
Count 1-2 here on Eddie Riley. Misses high for a ball, and the count is 2-2. One thing about Victor Molly that you could tell from the way he delivers that floater pitch, and then it changes your eye level going to the high fastball, it's very tough to adjust.
Yeah, he's also probably the fastest thrower we've seen for Endicott today. The pop of the glove is much more noticeable, and that was a beautiful breaking ball.
And Eddie Riley will go down looking, and a little bit of surprise on his face, and I think some prize up here in the press box. That was a terrific pitch by Victor Mullen.
Yeah, I mean, Riley might have thought that was inside, but for me it was just stunning how good that pitch was. You can blend the fastball, the changeup, and a curveball like that. It's going to be very difficult to hit you.
First pitch to Danny Brown is laced down into right field for a base hit. They're going to send the runner first to third. The throw is in time. They get the runner heading towards third base. A terrific throw from John Duffy out of right field, and Endicott is out of the inning. So the final out made at third base by the Beacons. We'll head to the top half of the 7th. UMass Boston still in front, 10-0.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back here at Monin Park, and a new pitcher into the ball game for UMass Boston, and it's Matt Dema that will be in the contest for the Beacons through his appearances on the mound. He's got 11 of them in one game started so far. See the numbers there, Seth. He's been impressive at times so far this year for UMass Boston.
Dema, high strikeout guy. When he struggles, it's typically because of his control. He's in here right now because the Beacons want to get him some work. They want to keep him fresh. Did not pitch all of last week. The Beacons only played 3 games. His last outing pitched an inning against Western Connecticut State in Game 2 of a 23-3 game. He's been very good. His last 5 outings, 11 innings pitched, just 2 earned runs, and even pitched well against Babson in his first and only start of the year. 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. Beacons ended up losing that game 6-3, but he left with a 1-1 tie. Dema is a guy the Beacons are going to rely heavily upon out of the bullpen. Typically, Brendan Eigerbrodt limits his bullpen usage a little bit more, picks the guys that he really likes, and those guys will pitch a bit more in the postseason. Obviously, Bobby Tramandosi is going to be one of those. I think Dema's going to get a fair amount of appearances, and then you also have to figure maybe Doherty, Joe McGuire, Chris Monroe, but also with the way that he's been using some of his starting pitchers out of the bullpen, you could see a Tyler Aruda, Fernando Burgos, Dylan Fashionpour, Ben Gottesman coming back, pitching either a couple days before their start or a couple days after their start for an inning or two.
Now we have a pinch hitter at the plate, which is Brendan McDonald. One is swung on and fouled it down that right field line. The count is 2-1. So the first time McDonald will head to the plate as he replaces Carvalho. Kyle Brennan on deck for Endicott. And in a situation where UMass Boston leads it 10-0, you mentioned getting Dema some appearances, but for UMass Boston, they may need to kind of use that bullpen here heading down the stretch. That one is a swing and a miss. Good action there from Dema as it dropped right down low.
Yeah, you want to save Bobby Tramandosi for tomorrow's game, a huge one against UMass Dartmouth. Maybe save a Joe McGuire, but you're willing to throw a couple of these guys who also can go on back-to-back days. If the Beacons need Matt Dema tomorrow, he'll be available, especially if this is only a 1-inning outing. The big thing is, with so few games last week and so many blowouts, the Beacons are looking to make sure that no guy is sitting for a week, 2 weeks, and then they're called upon in a big LEC tournament game, and they're not they're not sharp, because that's the big thing. You can have too much rest as a pitcher. You can have too much rest as a hitter. That's a big thing even in a basketball or hockey. It's so much bigger in baseball when it's all about repetition.
Base hit by McDonald, and he's aboard. And now Kyle Brennan will step in.
Well, McDonald's a guy who should know this field, played at Boston College High School, so his senior year of high school would have been the first year of Monin Park. A little bit of a homecoming for the Quincy, Mass native.
He may have played in one of those freshman games you just saw.
Well, he would have been a senior that year.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But I'm sure he played
in
this vicinity
right,
that
correct.
was formerly a grass field, not one of the nicer fields, but has now become one of the best complexes in all of Massachusetts.
1-0, swing and a miss. The count's 1-1. Maybe you can ask him if you think the freshman game has changed since he played.
I'm sure he thinks that the freshman that he probably watched, because Endicott was out here watching the game. I'm sure he was a little embarrassed about how slow the game is. But to be fair, everyone thinks they were much better as a freshman, and then they look back and who knows?
Very true.
I wasn't even on the freshman team.
It's like my T-ball career. 1-1 the count. And the pitch on the way. Breaking ball downstairs, 2-1. Ben Gottesman heads off the rubber with another impressive showing for UMass Boston here this evening. And what a performance he has had through these last couple of years. But tonight it was spectacular for the Beacons. Goes 6 strong in this contest.
It's a new career high.
2-1 the count on Brennan. Breaking ball, and may have crossed up his catcher there, Kides, and count will move to 3-1. Kides looked like he was expecting an outside fastball and instead got a breaking ball that he was not ready for. 3-1 the count. And the offering misses in tight. And that's ball 4. First 2 runners aboard for Endicott.
Here comes the pitching coach, Dan Gamble. Dema clearly not quite as sharp as he would like. It's getting behind against some of these batters, and right now the big focus is maybe the follow-through or just trying to settle them down. Either way, the 10-0 lead, the big thing is just getting the ball over the plate. Obviously, you don't want to throw meatballs, but give your fielders a chance, and I think that was probably the quick, short message there from Dan Gamble.
So UMass Boston now, nobody out in this inning. And Endicott looking to cut into this 10-0 deficit.
Your attention, please. Now hitting for John Duffy, number 9, Anthony Machia.
So Anthony Machia will hit in place of John Duffy, who made a terrific play out in right field to end the last inning. As he awaits the first offering. Machia watches it, and it's a ball. It's 1-0. For Machia so far on the year, it's been a quiet season so far, just 190 average in 21 games.
This is his first appearance since April the 7th against MIT. 14 straight DNPs after what looks like starting the previous 4 games. He had at least 3 at-bats in each of the previous 4 in early April, but it's not seen any time since.
1-1 the count. Demo is able to fire the fastball right by him. The 1-1. That one in there for a strike, and we're seeing exactly what you talked about, Seth. Early in this outing for Demo, the first couple of batters fell behind and has struggled to find the zone, but here in this at-bat, he has looked very strong with some impressive pitches inside the zone as he delivers the next one. Swing and a miss. Got him to chase, and there's one down here in the inning.
You saw the heavy fastball, the heavy slider, and I think that was the curveball, maybe the change. Either way, huge change in the velocity there, and no chance for Machia. That's what you want to see out of Dema, the crisp version. He now has 23 strikeouts and 13 walks in 18 2/3 innings. He'd love to get the walks down, but you can make up for that if you can get the strikeouts. If you can balance that strikeouts and walks where you're not giving up 2 or 3 walks in a row. And right now, if he can get a ball on the infield, he can probably get out of this inning with 1 pitch.
Count is 0-1 here on Ryan Prosser. And that one he just plunked him. Came inside and got him. And now, with 1 down here in the inning, the bases are juiced for the number 9 hitter, Christian Allaire.
4 straight good pitches, and then he loses one. That's been the struggle with Dema. Certainly a guy that Beacons have high hopes for is certainly a very talented pitcher. He just hasn't quite had enough control to be a guy that's used in the highest of leverage situations.
Dema, a junior. And the first pitch to Allaire misses high and outside for a ball. And after such an at-bat where you thought maybe the tide was turning for him on that strikeout of Machia, a couple of good pitches with the fastball heading to the off-speed stuff, and now struggled here to find the zone through the last 2. That one is in there for a strike to make it 1-1.
And I think part of it is maybe the transition from starter to reliever. Sometimes as a starter, you get that long warm-up. You can really get in the right mindset. As a reliever, you're never quite sure when you're going to come in, and maybe just over-eager. But just the control is still something that he's working on as this season goes along, as this game goes along. And I'm sure that he thinks he's close, but it just hasn't quite seemed like we've seen the best Matt Dema that there is. Because in high school, he was a sub-1 ERA guy, high strikeouts, low walks, and he just hasn't quite gotten there at the college level after 2 years at St. Joe's of Maine, and now this is his first year as a Beacon.
1-2 the count. That one is swung on and fouled back by Allaire. And this is a big moment also for the Endicott offense. This is an offense that has struggled, and now a situation where trying to drive in some runs. And, of course, you'll have the top of the order upcoming in the next batter in Skeena, but huge at-bat here. Try and grab some runs. Allaire waits. He grounds that one foul to stay alive at 1-2.
I mean, they've only scored 6 runs in their previous 2 games, a sweep over 16 innings. Now you're scoreless here. It's not going to give you confidence, especially when offense is probably the biggest flaw for a team that pitches and fields extremely well. The other thing is you're playing Gordon, the 6th seed, in the first round. Gordon just played you extremely close at Gordon last week.
That one is skied out to left. Catch is made out there and left. And it'll be cut off by Riley. Not enough to get the run home. 2 down now in the inning. Big hold there for Dema on the mound. And for Endicott, again, offensive struggles starting to pile up.
Yeah, and then that was the right decision by the third base coach. You've got a backup catcher at third base. You don't need to send a runner there and potentially end the inning. Give yourself a chance at the leadoff hitter coming up here. See if Skeena can come through in a big spot.
Skeena 1 for 3 today with a single to go along with a fly out in the first and a strikeout. He chops this one back up the middle. Tough play for Lopez. Charging, throwing. It's not going to be in time. Run comes home, the first one of the game for Endicott. And an RBI infield single for Skeena. 2 down now in the inning, and it's now back to a 9-run game.
Just hit too softly there for Lopez to get it. Recognized he had to get it out quickly, threw it across, but the high hop, no chance. The only guy who would have really had a chance at Skeena was if Dema somehow could have gotten that ball. But, I mean, sometimes you're going to get those breaks. The benefit is the Beacons, those 10 runs, that run's not going to hurt them. Now they just want Dema to get this next batter and get some confidence. If he gives up a hit or 2 more, you might see him get pulled here with just the 2 outs, and that's the last thing you want. Remember, Brendan Eigerbrodt wants these guys to leave the mound with confidence, potentially heading into the conference tournament. We might see Dema again this weekend, 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, but this could be his last outing before the LEC tournament.
Pitch misses outside to Matt Bald, who came in as the best hitter on this Endicott roster, and he's gone 0 for 3, so maybe a spot for Bald here to try and get himself back in the thick of things going into that conference tournament. As you mentioned, Endicott will start their conference tournament here shortly as the 1-0 is swung on and missed by Bald. Make the count even at 1-1. Sometimes, again, we talk about those conference tournaments. You play them early. You have to rest a little bit going into that regional, and we've seen before that can also hurt you as well as help you. Depends on the pitching, and for Endicott, it may help to kind of rest their pitching and give them a little extra time. The 1-2 count here on Bald. He watches that slider, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, I'm a fan of playing that tournament as late as possible. I think the LEC does it right the week before the regionals. You play a faux regional tournament, although the regional tournament format has changed where it's now 4 teams versus the 8 teams in the past. But you get that tournament feel, and then you go right into the regionals. Because if you win your conference tournament like some teams do in the Southern Regional in early April, and you're waiting for a month, how do you stay in that playoff intensity? And I think that can be a big issue for teams. See, at the pro level, when a team sweeps another team and has to wait a week to 10 days to play that next round of the tournament, sometimes you see rust, and you can't afford rust. Even in a double elimination tournament, it can really cost you your chance at moving on to the next round, to the super regional in this case. Here is the Division III baseball.
And of course, we've seen how tough it is when you lose that first game to really battle your way back. And that first win of a regional or a tournament, conference tournament, so big, and then the ability to continue and pick that up. We'll see if Endicott can at least grab some runs as Bald floats that one out into right field for a base hit. 1 run is going to score. The second run on its way home, and it will score as well. Bald able to advance the second on the throw. It's 2 RBIs for Matt Bald, and Endicott now has cut into the deficit just a little bit more.
What was Ryan Prosser doing there? He was very close to being out without the slide. It was a great throw by Herzog. Another cue shot. Not hit all that hard. I mean, they didn't hit Dema hard. It's just, again, that lack of control. Walking a hit by pitch cost him in the inning, and he'll have to come out. So the Beacons try to keep this game in a nice large lead. But that could have really cost Endicott. It was a great throw from Herzog coming home, and there's 3 guys behind home plate, and none of them tell Prosser to get down.
So that will draw a pitching change as UMass Boston leads at 10-3. Take a break. We come back. We'll have the new pitcher for you right here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. PJ McCormick, the new pitcher on the mound for UMass Boston as he comes out and will make another appearance here on the season, just the fourth appearance now for McCormick in his 5 innings of work. He's given up 4 hits and 4 runs, or excuse me, 8 hits and 4 runs to his credit. But for PJ McCormick, trying to hold this lead at a 7-run deficit for Endicott. And this is kind of big for both teams. For UMass Boston, looking for some success out of a guy who hasn't seen a ton of appearances, and for Endicott, trying to maybe pile up some more runs on a team in UMass Boston that jumped out early, give themselves some more confidence at the plate.
Well, the Beacons only have 3 left-handed pitchers healthy, with JT Morin out for the year. So McCormick and Anthony Biscara, the big thing is, can you use either of these guys in a lefty-lefty situation like McCormick comes in here? McCormick, in his first home appearance, struggled mightily against Mitchell. 5 hits, 4 earned, over an inning and 2/3. But his last time out, he was really good against Suffolk, earned the win. 3 innings and 2 hits in a game that was back and forth, topsy-turvy. He came on in relief of Joey Rogers, and the Beacons' offense went off, and he shut down the Rams' defense. So right now he's just looking for another solid outing to earn maybe some more outings here late in the regular season, even the postseason. You're only allowed 25 guys on the NCAA tournament roster. Well, right now, if he wants a chance, he needs a couple more solid outings to earn one of those last spots.
Well, Cacciola has swung at 2 pitches. And McCormick has been spot on so far, getting him chase. Here's the 0-2. Misses outside for a ball, and it's 1-2. And that always becomes such a tough decision with teams that have such big rosters. You know, who do you keep? How many do you keep? And what position do you overload in that regard? 1-2 now the count. Cacciola watches that one outside. Of course, some teams have limited down their rosters to sort of that amount, but it again becomes such a tough decision to make at what you decide to do with your pitching staff, and also maybe with guys like we talked about for a team like UMass Boston who have seen some offensive time and offensive ability. As Cacciola watches that for strike 3. McCormick out of the inning on a great fastball right on the inside part of the plate. UMass Boston will come back to the plate. It's time to stretch. The bottom half of the 7th inning is upcoming on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
Welcome back here to Monin Park. We have a couple of changes as now it will be Will Bryant that will be on the mound for Endicott. And Bryant, a guy who has been a vital part to this pitching staff so far this year. He's got 4 saves on the season in his 15 appearances so far this year and 21 strikeouts on the campaign for Endicott as well.
Nathan Amaker is our new right fielder for the Gulls, freshman outfielder out of Harwich, Mass, down on the Cape. Bryant's the team's closer, obviously not coming on in a closer situation, but has been one of their top relievers for each of the last couple of years. Just 4 saves this season after 10 a year ago. 21 career saves in 60 appearances, career 2.30 ERA, and a guy who has struck out 66 over 74 and a third innings.
Bryant will have to face the bottom part of this order for UMass Boston, Kites, McCormick, and Hughie. For a good breaking ball there from Bryant, and it's 0-2. And again, another situation where Endicott may be trying to just get another guy some work, and that probably means they'll make another pitching change in the next inning. That one misses outside for a ball unless they plan on giving Bryant multiple frames.
Went an inning and a third on Saturday against Western New England in Game 2. Allowed 2 hits, 2 unearned runs, and struck out a batter.
1-2. Breaking ball grounded by Kites out towards third. Fielded cleanly, and the throw on to first in time by Prosser. And that will be out number 1. Kites is retired on the 5-3 putout.
Since those big first 2 frames, 5 runs in the first when the Beacons had 6 hits, 3 runs in the second, the Beacons' offense has really been held in check. It's just the fact that they were able to jump out to that huge lead. We've seen some much more effective relievers as this game has gone along, but the Beacons' offense is also kind of cooled, especially with hitting with runners in scoring position. I don't know if UMass Boston has a hit in the last couple of frames.
Of course, the 2 guys they started with in this contest, and Kyle Woolman, who started this game, that one misses high for a ball, and Max Tarlin. Those guys, they don't have a ton of strikeouts. They combined for just 20 on the season, so guys that'll kind of let that ball get put in play. And since Endicott has gone to more of their strikeout guys, that one misses inside. It's clearly been the adjustment that was needed by Endicott in this game. 3-0, though, the count here on McCormick.
Well, and again, these 2 teams taking very different approaches. Ben Gottesman, one of the Beacons' better midweek pitchers. He knew that he was going to go as long as he could. McCormick thought he had ball 4. On the other side, Endicott just going through a staff day, recognizing we're going to get a lot of different guys work, hope that we can be in this game. Well, Beacons jumped all over them early, and now it's just getting that work regardless of what the score is.
2 straight pitches in the same spot, and the count moves now full 3-2.
And 2 straight times that McCormick acted as if he was going down to first base and then recognized he wasn't getting the call.
Payoff pitch. McCormick fouls that one off to stay alive. Bryant has thrown a couple of different pitches, but that fastball has a lot of movement on it. Both times McCormick has watched it. The count is now full 3-2. That fastball was straight, and McCormick sliced it down the left field line. Foul.
McCormick last year an all-region catcher, one of the Beacons' top hitters, has really been scuffling here in April, but had 3 hits the other day against Rhode Island College. Guy the Beacons want to get going because he can be a very, very consistent hitter and a very good run producer for this Beacons team.
Well, he's on for the 2nd time today with a walk. And now it'll be stepping to the plate, Charlie Hughie, that will step in. Hughie is 0 for 3 today. He is one of few Beacons that has not recorded a hit thus far. Ryan McCormick also in that category. So that one misses for a ball, and those are the only 2 Beacons left that have not recorded the hit. 1-0 the count on Hughie at the plate. Top 6 in the order all have recorded hits, and then Kites in the second had his first hit of the contest. 1-0 to Hughie. That was a half-hearted attempt at a swing, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, that was a 2-strike swing. Hughie upset with himself there.
Looked like he thought he was sitting fastball, then it went in the glove, and Then he swung. 1-1 the count. One down here in the inning. UMass Boston jumped out early, had a 10-0 lead at one point in this game. That breaking ball misses downstairs. It started out at 9-0 before they even got a goose egg on the board. It was 5 in the first, 3 in the second, and then a solo moonshot, I should say, from Nick Herzog.
Just his 4th home run in his last 3 games.
That one is swung on and fouled off, and a good bat flip to add to it as well. 2-2 the count.
Bat flips have been in the news lately.
That they have. Herzog did not get plunked for his, though.
Well,
2-2 the count.
I guess it's not just the action, but also what you say afterwards that can cause some problems.
Very true. 3-2 the count now as that one misses outside to Hughie.
I'm a fan of the bat flip.
I'm a huge fan.
I think
Big
that
fan.
I think that if you hit a ball a mile, you should 100% be able to celebrate it.
Yep.
Just like I have no issues when a pitcher gets a big strikeout and pounds the glove and shouts.
3-2, and there's another good pitch from Bryant. Stealing on the pitch was McCormick. It's a swing and a miss by Hughie. He goes down on strikes, and that will be 0 for 4 now for Charlie Hughie. And here comes Nick Herzog to the plate. But, yeah, you mentioned it, and it's been a story that's been all over the news recently. And, of course, pitchers take exception to it and then plunk hitters. And then we get the occasional anger from the hitter perspective, and it's just a continuing revolving circle.
Well, and last week you had the story of Rhys Hoskins running around the base pass in 34 seconds. He wasn't reacting to being hit. He was reacting to some headhunting from the New York Mets. So, I mean, anytime that pitchers can go after hitters, I mean, I recognize that it's a part of the game, but at this point, maybe we can back off and let the guys have a little bit more fun, because in the end, it is just a game. It's a profession, but we're just playing baseball out there. There's nothing wrong with guys reacting to a positive play.
Well, of course, we have seen the occasional situations where pitchers have, gone and tried to hit players in not just the areas that don't hurt as much, and with the velocity that we are seeing now from some pitchers, it can get to a dangerous situation. That one misses outside for a ball. It's 1-2.
To be fair, if you are trying to hit someone with anything but a changeup, you're liable to hurt someone, because if it hits a bone, I mean, you're seeing guys who get hit by even a changeup and they're breaking a wrist, they're missing multiple weeks. That's a part of the game that really needs to be taken out.
1-2, breaking ball down in the dirt, and McCormick able to get to third. He looked like he was already halfway there by the time that ball hit the dirt. So McCormick moves up 90 feet. Now Herzog has a runner at third base, and the count is 2-2 with 2 down here in the inning. And you find it strange nowadays as that one misses upstairs to make it full 3-2. You'd think that as a pitcher, guy just give up a home run, might want to get him out, but instead you give him a free base by hitting him. It's just the baseball part of it doesn't make any sense. 3-2 the count. And the pitch on the way. Herzog swings and misses. He goes down on strikes, and that will end the inning for UMass Boston. We head to the top half of the 8th inning. The Beacons in front 10-3 on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
PJ McCormick is back onto the rubber for UMass Boston as he will head on to the mound in a 10-3 contest in favor of the Beacons. And the first pitch to Perkins misses for a ball. And the count moves to 1-0 on Perkins at the plate. And the 1-0 offering. Swing and a miss. The count is 1-1.
He's another one of those guys who doesn't throw all that fast, but he's getting a lot of huge swings from these Endicott batters, and they're not making good contact. It's all about if you don't have that speed, as McCormick finally does have a ball put in play against him, it's about mixing and matching locations, mixing and matching speeds, and just trying to keep the opposing team off balance, which did a nice job against the one batter he faced to get out of that top of the seventh when Endicott had already scored 3 runs against Matt Dema. That's a big thing that he's gonna try to work through this inning. Can he work as well with runners on? Because that was one of his issues against Mitchell. A couple of hits, a walk, and he struggled out of the stretch in that loss to the Mariners back in early April here at home.
So nobody out, and McDonald at the plate. Misses high for a ball. His first plate appearance ended in a single for Endicott. Kyle Brennan would follow. He walked following that single by McDonald. They throw over to check on the runner who dives back in time. And the count is 1-0. And now, I believe they're talking about if that was a balk by McCormick. So 1-0, still the count, as we still have a talk going on, and not sure exactly what they're talking about here.
I think you have some kind of argument. I thought I read the lips of the Endicott coach saying that's a balk, and then Brendan Eichenbrot wasn't happy with whatever the Endicott coach was saying to our home plate umpire. Very interesting situation between the two. Both coaches barking as much at each other as they were at the umpire.
2-0 the count. UMass Boston in control so far. It's 10-3. It's been a frustrating day for Endicott, both on the mound and at the plate, although they did have a solid inning in the last inning at the dish, as that one misses and it's 3-0. We'll see now if McCormick can work out of this here in this inning. The 3-0. That one in there for a strike, and it's 3-1. That zone has been extended a little bit today. Kermit may have got the benefit of the doubt there. We saw McCormick thought that he had ball 4 twice before that at bat, and McDonald lines that one to third, and a great play by Riley. Right place, right time. One down here in the inning.
And Josh Lopez is not upset, but was hoping that Riley had taken that on a hop, because it would have been an easy double play with McDonald, a catcher, running. It's one of those plays where 99% of the time it makes sense. Just make the catch. But it's one of those plays, if you're a cerebral, way above the top cerebral baseball player, a Javi Baez type, you drop that ball and you try to turn two. Obviously in a 7-run game, not as big of a deal. But that's the kind of player that Lopez is, where he's thinking ahead, not to take anything away from Riley, but Lopez is constantly trying to figure out the best way to gain an advantage, whether it be defensively or on the base pass.
Well, you've seen that more and more, even at the college level now. We're seeing guys go ahead and use that play, and it's a smart, heady play, because you line a ball, you're angry that ball's going to be caught and right at somebody, you stop running.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the biggest issue is when the hitter sees the ball right at someone, they're probably going to stop, or they're going to hesitate. And especially if you have a catcher, even if he runs hard the whole way. I mean, you've got Riley with a great arm at third base, Lopez with a great arm at second base. You can still probably get him even if he goes hard. But that's just one of those situations that can be a difference maker of a play, especially in a closer game. And that's Lopez still thinking like that here in the top of the 8th inning in a 7-run game.
Swing and a miss, and the count is 1-2. And, of course, sometimes then you incorporate the possibility that as they drop that ball, you can call it on the transfer, and it all gets very dicey from there. 1-2 the count here on Brennan at the plate after McDonald lined out to third.
Brennan's part of a baseball family. His older brother Mark played at Marist College, D1 school in upstate New York. And his other brother Sean played within the conference. He played at Western New England University.
Oh, and misses inside, and McCormick was not happy about that last pitch.
Would not be the first pitcher today that has shown his displeasure.
No. And I don't think that our home plate umpire, Richard Cabral, has cared. That one is swung on and fouled back. The count is still even at 2-2. Hasn't changed his approach. And with one down here in the inning, Endicott trying to cut into this deficit. 2-2. Misses downstairs, and it'll run full 3-2. So after 6 innings of scoreless baseball from Ben Gottesman, it's been a tough time out of the bullpen for UMass Boston trying to figure out how to shut down this Endicott order. 3-2. Swing and a miss, but McCormick doing a good job of it. So he's now got 2 outs here in this inning.
It's that nice, heavy, I think it was the fastball that just comes really hard down, dipping out of the zone, and we've seen a couple of swings and misses on that pitch. McCormick doesn't look like he throws all that hard, but he's getting that nice hard smack of the catcher's glove a couple of times and already has 2 strikeouts amongst the 4 outs he's gotten.
So Christopher Webster steps in at the plate, freshman who checks his swing but goes around anyway. It's 0-1. And again, with McCormick, one thing he's done well so far in this game has been mixing those pitches as that one goes downstairs.
This is Webster's 8th career at bat, 1 for 7 on the year with a pair of strikeouts. Had a hit in his first career appearance, though, 1 for 3 against Trinity, Texas.
They throw over to check on the runner. No call for a balk there. 1-1 the count here on the pinch hitter, Christopher Webster. That one downstairs and got away from Kites that time and allows Perkins to move up 90 feet. With 2-1 the count now on the right-handed hitter, Webster.
Webster had 5 of his 7 at-bats this year in Texas or in Florida. He's only had 2 at-bats since and 0 in April. So rare chance for him, down by 7.
2-1. Swing and a miss. It's even at 2-2. 2 down here in the inning, and well, it hasn't been flashy by any means for McCormick, but right now he's done a good job in this inning of finding ways to get outs. He's worked a couple of full counts, 2-2 here. That one misses upstairs, ran away from him, and now he's run another count full 3-2.
Yeah, again, neither of these Beacons pitchers have been quite as effective as they would like out of the bullpen. Few too many balls, as compared to what we saw from Gottesman, but just trying to work out some of the kinks. He hasn't pitched in close to 2 weeks now.
Swing and a miss. Great changeup down in the zone, and he got Webster swinging. That will end the top half of the 8th. We head to the bottom half of the frame. UMass Boston in front by 7 on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Liam Burke is the new pitcher on the mound for Endicott. The southpaw will come in for the Gulls, and out in right field will be Tyler Davis, who replaces the pinch hitter that came in, Christopher Walker. So to be on the mound, though, on the bump will be Liam Burke, who has now appeared in 15 games this year, and he has now totaled 16 strikeouts on the season as well.
Yeah, struggled his first time out. 5 earned runs in an inning against Trinity, Texas. Since then, he's only given up 5 earned runs the rest of the season. His last 3 outings has gone 3 2/3 innings, allowing just 1 hit, striking out 3, walking 2. So he's picked it up a little bit. And he's another one of these Gulls who comes from an athletic family. Sister Siobhan plays hockey for Holy Cross. You might even know her, Elijah, since you work over there. And his other sister, Bridget, rose for UMass Amherst.
Wow. It's a athletic family they got there.
Yeah, a couple D1 athletes on the female side. He is one of 6 siblings.
Wow.
So
there's a good percentage of that.
Yeah, I mean, 3 out of 6 playing at the collegiate level, at a high level at that point as well.
It's 50%.
Your
That
math
one-
is impeccable.
I didn't go to school for it. That one misses for a ball, and that'll make it 2-0. 3-0, excuse me. That's about as good as your jump shots. That's 50%.
I wish.
That one is downstairs, and it will be ball 4 as Lopez will be aboard. And now that will bring to the plate UMass Boston, bringing another hitter to the dish here.
It's going to be Ryan Leung pinch hitting.
So Leung will come to the plate as he replaces McLeod, who came in as a pinch runner.
Leung's been hot since losing his starting job. He's hit safely in 4 of his last 5 games in which he's had a plate appearance, including a nice job against Nichols the other day. 1 for 1 with the run scored, an RBI, and a walk.
Next pitch to Leung misses in tight, and it's 2-0. Count to Leung, and again, we talked about a couple of UMass Boston beacons kind of getting in the order, maybe trying to get things going offensively. The count's 2-1, and just trying to stay fresh. This is about that time of year as well.
Yeah, trying to stay fresh. And the other thing is, we talked about roster management or how you construct a roster for the postseason. I think versatility is a big thing. So right now for UMass Boston, you want guys like Ryan McCormick, who right now Ryan is a guy who can catch for you. Nico Cotty's got the start today, but he can also play first base. He can play left. Well, Ryan Leung came in as a backup catcher. So maybe Ryan Leung is your third catcher, and he can also play second base if Josh Lopez gets hurt. Maybe in a pinch he can play another position as well. It's also a guy you could use as a pinch runner. So, and despite the fact he doesn't race there, hits it hard, if he can stay hot for the Beacons, maybe that gives him the edge over another guy who can only play 1 or 2 positions. I think Ryan Collins, the other Beacons backup second baseman who can play short as well, that might earn him a spot on the postseason lineup just because of that defensive versatility.
Anthony Cesare steps in. He'll get another plate appearance here as that one misses outside from Burke. And Burke, another guy for Endicott, maybe just trying to get some innings in here for the Gulls after his 14 appearances so far this year, now appearing at number 15.
He's been pitching a lot for them recently. Went an inning against Tufts, scoreless. Got the save against Gordon in that 7-6 win last week, and then pitched 2/3 of an inning in Game 2 against Western New England. I think the big thing for him is they're just trying to get him fully right after that slow start. Carries a 5 ERA this year in 14 appearances. Last year he's even better, 3.93 ERA in 11 appearances, but was more of a starter.
That pitch in there for a strike, and it's 3-1. And as UMass Boston knows, it's tough to find some lefties to continue to use down the stretch with injuries and guys trying to just find their groove. As that one is popped up, and it will stay in play but hit the screen. And that will make the count full 3-2. But the more you can try to have guys to incorporate in different situations, better off you are down the stretch and heading into postseason play. Just more options, more things you can do with your bullpen. And in turn, it does make your starters kind of have a little bit more confidence knowing that they're tossing a game over to some very solid arms as that one is fouled off. Get in a situation where they're trying to make a pitch and just not going their way. You can toss it over to a guy who you are confident to get out of that inning. Makes it a lot easier.
And I also think it takes a little bit of wear and tear off some of these guys. I mean, you're playing 40 games in 2 months. I think Division III baseball is by far the most taxing of any sport at the Division III level because of how short, at least the season is here in New England. It's a lot longer if you're in the West region or the South region where you can play in February, get 3 months worth of games in. But, I mean, if you get a small injury and you're all of a sudden playing 5 or 6 games that week, you're not really going to recover quickly. So it gives a chance for a guy like Boudris, who is a bit banged up, chance where maybe he's not running the bases late in the game, as Danny Colazzo's going to pinch run over there at first base for Cesare.
So Colazzo into the game. Riley will still be at the plate for UMass Boston, but you mentioned it, and not having the benefit of the Division I level where you can fly your team down every other weekend to play those teams in Texas and Florida and California. These teams get about a week, maybe if they're lucky, 2 down in Florida to try and cram in at least 10 games. That one misses in tight, and the count is 1-0, and all those 10 games normally end up with at least 4 or 5 of them against nationally ranked opponents if you're in that sort of stature.
Yeah, I mean, if you're scheduling tough, it's great to get those games in, but you're not always going to all of a sudden get on a roll. The other thing is, we talk about New England because we're in the New England region, but you went to school in Ohio. You deal with similar weather issues out there, maybe even more so based off of the cold temperatures than just precipitation, but it's an issue for about half the regions just getting games in at a consistent basis.
Riley golfs that one out into right center field for a base hit. They're going to wave the runner around to cut off the throw to the plate. It's not in time. It bounced away from the catcher. Lopez slides in safely. Riley moves up on the throw, and Eddie Riley has himself an RBI and UMass Boston's 11th run of the contest.
That was a very odd turn by Lopez. It looked like he was going to slow to a stop, and then all of a sudden took off, just trying to test if Endicott was going hard enough and able to beat it. But that throw looked like it should have gotten him if not for the bobble by the catcher.
And Lopez, like you said, he kind of slowed down. But I think on his slowdown, he kind of took a peek, and, well, that's the benefit that you get when you have the speed of Josh Lopez, as he's able to slide in safely, and now that brings Danny Brown to the plate for UMass Boston.
And the infield is in, which is very strange, down 8 runs, but I think there's a little something going on between these two coaching staffs. We've seen them barking at each other a couple times. I think this is a little bit of a cat and mouse game right now between the two coaching staffs, where UMass Boston wants to blow this game open further, and Endicott is really focused on keeping it right where it is. Maybe there's some macho points. Maybe the line was 6.5. Who knows?
And, of course, the other situation being that now if you're Endicott, you're kind of trying to prep for situations like this that you may be in late in games. That one misses for a ball, and the count is 3-0. But maybe that is the case. But regardless, Endicott having their infield in, and 3-0 count on Brown, and he watches that for ball 4. He was hoping that was called a strike because he was ready to have another at-bat, but regardless, it will now be runners at every base for UMass Boston.
And Kyle Penny, another one of those guys who's been seeing some regular at-bats, hit a home run, his first collegiate home run the other day against Nichols, will come on, but first we might see a pitching change. And, well, if we haven't seen enough pitchers already, I think we're going to get a chance to see one more pitcher here, although they've yet to point.
That's my favorite, when they wait until the end.
That's a Brendan Igerroth favorite. He loves getting that extra 2 or 3 pitches in. I can't see if anyone was already warming. It doesn't look like there's anyone currently throwing. They're going to leave him out there.
We didn't even get an umpire walkout that time. That's impressive. 1 down here in the inning. Bases are loaded for Kyle Penny, who's going to come to the plate. So again, also getting guys in situations where they can drive in runs proves to be pivotal to kind of get them in that slot in case they do pinch hit in this sort of situation. 1 down here in the inning, and that one misses upstairs, and the count is 1-0.
Well, the other thing is, you want to give these guys who are consistently sitting there cheering on the team out there at every practice a chance when you get it. I mean, when you're up by 8 runs in a game late, this is a chance for Penny, who's there every single day, to prove himself, and he's done that in his last 2 games. Went 2 for 3 with 2 runs, a double, and 3 RBI against Westcott in Game 2, and then hit a solo home run in the 8th the other day against Nichols. I mean, this guy is a talented player, but he hasn't gotten his chance to play behind some really talented catchers and first basemen, and now he's getting a look here in his junior season off the bench.
That one is swung on and fouled off. And again, it reiterates what we talked about earlier with UMass Boston. Just so many weapons, so many guys to use, and makes these at-bats in games that are 11-3 and maybe a little bit out of reach very meaningful for these hitters to try and kind of find their stride and feel comfortable in this sort of situation. The 2-2 misses upstairs. That hit off the umpire's mask and will head back to the backstop. It's going to score a run for UMass Boston, so now it's 2nd and 3rd here with 1 down.
Yeah, that took a hard right turn off the mask of Richard Cabral, and obviously everyone was kind of stunned because it hit so hard and so quickly. We couldn't hear the sound up here. But that's always a scary moment, and everyone's a little slow to react because it looked more as if it came off the bat rather than the helmet, how quick and hard it went back to the backstop.
3-2 the count.
The other nice thing is everybody on the Beacons bench is up at the edge of the dugout cheering on Penny, recognizing that it's not going to get that many chances, and this comes through there with the walk. Would have driven in a run if not for the wild pitch.
That one misses high for a ball, and now it'll be McCormick that will come to the plate. So McCormick will step in with the bases loaded. Burke misses outside for a ball, and now we'll see if Endicott decides to maybe go to their bullpen. Can't tell if there's anyone loosening down there at the moment.
Looks like there's at least someone doing some soft toss.
Swing and a miss by McCormick. Here's a guy who is one of the few Beacons that has not gotten a hit so far in this game. He's been on base twice with a walk. In there for a strike 1 and 2.
Yeah, McCormick has been scuffling and batting average about 100 points lower than last year, but he's kept that on base percentage high because he's has such a good eye. Pair of walks already today.
Burke gets it to second for 1. The throw on to first is not in time. And now the question is Liam Burke okay as he limps back onto the rubber? Bounced off of Burke, went to the second baseman, Allaire. He was able to flip it to second for 1, but they couldn't turn 2. And Burke looks like he's all right. The umpire there, catcher McDonald, is asking if he can go out and chat with Burke to see if that leg is okay, but nothing doing. You see Burke there just kind of trying to shake it off.
Yeah, he's shaking out that right knee. Now he's shaking out the left as well, but took it pretty hard off of it, but right now he's just trying to focus on getting that last out, getting out of this frame.
So Hughie now steps in, back to a 10-run lead. A swing, and that one is lifted out into shallow left. Moving back and making the catch out there for the final out is Skeena, and that will end the frame for UMass Boston. We head to the 9th. Beacons in front by 10, looking to close it out here at Monin Park.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Beacon's trying to shut it down here in the ninth, and they will turn to Anthony Pescara, the junior left-hander out of Illinois, that will come on to the rubber for UMass Boston. As he will come to the rubber, you see the numbers there, 0-0 record with a 7.36 ERA for UMass Boston this year, and also for Pescara. He's had a couple of good outings so far this year for UMass Boston, but again, looking to try and add to his totals here in his 5th appearance for UMass Boston.
Well, it's funny the Beacons go lefty-lefty out of the bullpen. Their only real options. But a similar story to McCormick, not in only that they're the 2 Illinois natives on the team, but that he struggled in his earliest outing of the season. Gave up 3 earned against St. John Fisher. Outside of that, Webster went in third of an inning, walked 3, but only gave up 1 unearned run. Pitched really well against nationally ranked Babson, 2 innings, an unearned run, 2 walks and strikeout, and then threw a scoreless inning with 2 strikeouts against Suffolk. I don't know what Brendan Eigerwald's thinking, but it depending on how he comes down to those last couple spots, those 2 guys could be fighting for 1 spot if he feels like he does need a lefty out of the bullpen, which I'm not sure he does. Beacons have certainly gone without a lefty before out of the pen because it's not as big of a thing as you see in the majors, but if he does want that matchup, it really could be 1 spot for 2 guys.
1-2 is the count now on the hitter at the plate for Endicott Gulls is Ryan Prosser, third baseman. So far today, he is 0 for 2, was hit by a pitch. And that one misses downstairs. They will check. No go. 2-2. You don't see that called often at the Division III level. Or at any level for that matter. 2-2 the count.
It's much easier when you have the
Multiple,
full 4 umpires rather than just the 2.
3-2 the count. Three runs were in for UMass Boston in that last half of the 8th inning. And that one misses for a ball, and Prosser is aboard.
The absolute last thing Pescara wanted to do to start this outing. Last thing you want to do is even make the coaches think about having someone else get up and warm up, but leadoff walks are just, oh man, they're cardinal sin for any pitcher, and we'll see if Pescara can settle in, because the last thing you want to do right now is give up a couple base runners and make Endicott think they have a chance to get back in this game.
Well, his fellow lefty, as that one hits the dirt, rolls to the backstop, and Prosser moves up 90 feet on what would more than likely be considered a wild pitch. 1-0 is the count. And his fellow lefty also gave up a hit to start, or a base runner, I should say, to start his frame of work, and then retired the next 3. 1-0 is the count. And the offering misses downstairs, and that will get away for Prosser to move up 90 more feet.
Yeah, that's got to be a pass ball on Penny. There was going to be no movement, and then he kind of kicked it away with the left foot. Penny staying on after pinch hit again, earning the walk, but right now he's just got to, these two both need to settle in. It's always a little bit more difficult when your battery mate is also in there for the first time.
And Milton Edmonds is at the plate. That one in there for a strike. Takes over for Christian Allaire. 2-1 is the count. On deck is Skina, the leadoff man. Downstairs, and Penny had trouble with that one too. It's now 3-1. And in Penny's defense, the first really 3 pitches after that walk have all been ones where he's had to work. He's had to get in the flow very quickly. 3-1 the count. Swing, and that one is skied out to shallow left field. Moving back is Hughie. He makes the catch. 1 down now in the inning. And that will not advance the runner. And now if you're Endicott, this is a situation where you're just trying to kind of work in this situation to try and drive in a run. See if they're able to do that here.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're very focused on can we get enough runs to get back in this game? But I think you're 100% right. This is a situation where, especially in the postseason, a runner on third and no outs, you have to score. You absolutely need to score to put yourself in a chance to win a game. And popping that ball up to shallow left, unable to do so. Even if it's a ground ball to the right side here, with the Beacons up by 10 runs, they're not going to throw it home. Not the situation you want, but it is a good situation in postseason play.
0-2 now the count. Maybe that out settled down Pescara as he's thrown 2 straight fastballs for strikes. It's 0-2 to the leadoff man, Skeena. So far today, 2 for 4 with an RBI. 0-2. Breaking ball is grounded out towards short. Hugie will field and fire, and that is in time to get the out. However, the run will come home. So a 6-3 put out and an RBI for Skeena. But 2 down now in the inning. And down to their final out is Endicott. And it will be Matt Bald. That will be the final chance here for Endicott to try and extend this game. And when you look at this win on paper, it will look very good for UMass Boston's regional hopes. So that one misses downstairs, and it's 1-0. The regional rankings starting to play a factor as we approach that NCAA tournament berth.
Yeah, I mean, the Beacons, this will add a regionally ranked win. I don't think Endicott, even after a couple losses to West New England, will fall out of the top 13 in New England. The other thing is the Beacons just need to keep adding wins, because as much as wins and losses aren't the end-all and be-all at this level, a lot of times the people who rank the regions are looking for a certain amount of wins before they even think about a possible at large. And with UMass Boston and Southern Maine in the Little East Conference Tournament, and with Babson and Wheaton in the NEWMAC Conference Tournament, New England's going to get at least 1 at large. The question is, can they get 2, which they haven't done every season the last couple of years. And to do that, they're going to say there's catcher interference there on Penny. UMass Boston needs to rack up as many wins as they possibly can and keep that strength of schedule as high as possible, because it'll probably go even higher when you get to the LEC tournament if you get a chance to play Southern Maine once or twice, because Southern Maine, again, ranked, I believe, 2nd in the region behind Babson. Every single one of these games is huge, just as much as those games early on in the season, but you can feel the pressure a little bit more here in April because you actually know where you stand. And the Beacons, I think the big thing is you need to get to 4th in the region. Right now goes Babson, Southern Maine, and Wheaton. The Beacons aren't catching those 3 teams, all top 15 teams in the country in the national poll. Can you get ahead of Trinity College out of the NESCAC and ensure that if you don't win it, you're that 2nd at large out of New England? Because the NEWMAC's going to get 1, and you hope not 2. You hope that Babson and Wheaton play in that championship series in the NEWMAC, and you can get that out of the way. But New England, it's going to be tough for them to get 3, so you need to get ahead of Trinity in case something happens in the NESCAC as well.
Swing and a miss, and that will make the count 1-2, and down to the final strike is Endicott. It always becomes so crucial down the stretch and so hard now that the D3 level, a lot of these teams, they don't all get to play each other like the Division I level, and you can compare and contrast with all across the country. It's so tough to figure out who's going to get that at-large bid. Lots of math involved. That one is off the plate, but well, they call it a strike. It is strike 3 called, and that will end the inning and end the ball game as the UMass Boston Beacons win it by a final score of 13-4 over top of Endicott, and an impressive performance offensively from UMass Boston to start.
Yeah, just a great job in the first inning. 5 runs on 6 hits, tacked on 3 more in the second, and they basically won this game before it even started. Certainly before our webcast officially made it online. It was a really nice way to start. The Beacons have been doing this a lot lately. Did it the other day against Rhode Island College in Game 2. Did it against Nichols for sure in that single game. UMass Boston, they didn't hit as well as they would like, finishing with 11 hits, but they did enough early on to really put this game away and earn a big win against a regionally ranked foe.
And you take a look there at the final score and the hit totals. UMass Boston, 11 hits in this ball game. Endicott with 7 and 2 errors for UMass Boston. Of course, that final error coming on the catcher's interference for UMass Boston. And we take a look at the at what's ahead for UMass Boston coming up here in the next couple of days. And, of course, that will be a tough test upcoming against UMass Dartmouth, a game that really could go back and forth. Castleton, of course, not a team that's far out of that Little East Conference tournament spot, and then they will round it out with some non-conference play. But you look at those two conference games, Seth, huge games for UMass Boston, not only for the conference play, but we go back to that regional ranking. This can play huge for them moving forward.
Huge games. You want to keep this hot streak going. UMass Dartmouth tomorrow, a win, and you pretty much wrap up the 2 seed, and you give Plymouth State something to play for if they get it done on Friday. Castleton, first time the Beacons will ever play them in conference play after Castleton came in to the Little East Conference this season. Castleton's playing well, and it could be a team that Beacons see in that first round. So you want to gain some confidence against that team, and then Brandeis, Beacons will likely see the Judges ace on Saturday, another chance to see a really strong starting pitcher before the Little East Conference tournament.
Well, that'll do it for our broadcast. Once again, the final score, UMass Boston winners by a final of 13-4 over top of Endicott. For our entire broadcast crew, my broadcast partner, Seth Orensky, I'm Elijah Gonzalez, saying so long. Have a good night, everybody.